Welcome aboard the Seatbelt Sign podcast. We've been cleared for takeoff.
Yeah, let's do it.
What's everybody here today with Darren? Okay, we're going to talk all of his adventures as a mechanic, as a fitness coach, as just a wild dude in the industry. Darren, what's up, my man? How you feeling?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks, Nick. How about yourself?
Well, I woke up early for you on a weekend, so, we're doing it, bro. We're doing it. Yeah, man. Darren, how do I say your last name?
Horrigan.
Horrigan.
Yeah, it's Gaelic. Yeah, it's a hard one.
And you hail from Ireland?
I'm from Ireland. I'm from a place called Limerick. Yeah, near Shannon Airport there, if you know it. I don't know if you know Shannon. It'd be like one of the stop-off airports for America, basically. I think it's actually the closest airport to America in Europe.
Oh, okay. That's what's up. I didn't know that. Never been.
Yeah.
Never been to the UK. Been to Europe when I was a kid. A little bit of Italy, a little Spain, just Paris. The French definitely held up their reputation. They were the worst. Paris just smelled. But dude, I do want to get out to the UK one day.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's a vibe. You should definitely check it out. Yeah, and Paris definitely. I think Paris gets a lot of clout, doesn't it? Like I think it's just got this crazy good reputation from the olden days. But it's all right. Yeah, it's worth a look. And where are you from yourself, Nick?
Oh man, I'm a mutt. I've just kind of been everywhere. Feels like home. Born in South Florida. Lived in South America for 3 years. Then North Carolina is what I call home now. It's where I've been the most. But I also lived in Montana for 4 years, just looking for big mountains to go snowboarding on.
You do a bit of heliboarding?
Man, I wish, dude. I wanted to. I had some rich friends that got to do that, and I was always jealous of their pictures. But that's the goal next. Yeah.
And you, I mean, like, I'm assuming you could probably fly a helicopter, right?
Man.
You just, rock up to the airport one morning and see if there's anything lying around, get the snowboard ready, take it for a spin.
Man, it's funny you mention that because that's actually what got me into aviation. So I was living out in Montana, and I just saw these helicopters flying around fighting fires. And I was like, oh, that's the coolest job, like scooping up water and then dropping it right on a fire. And being a kid from the East Coast, we don't really get a whole lot of wildfires like that, like they do out west in the U.S., So I instantly was like, accounting, I'm already bored of this crap. I want to do something more exciting. And I have aviation in my family, so I called my dad right away, and I was like, I'm going to go be a helicopter pilot. He was like, well, it's really expensive. You could do airplane and then transition, right? Well, I still went out and I took an intro lesson in a helicopter. Dude, that shit is definitely harder than airplanes. I don't think I could fly one right now, man. No, we were practicing how to hover, and as soon as the instructor would give it to me, like we were nice, straight, and level, and then the airplane literally started to spin upside down, like as if we were just going to crash right into the ground. And every time the instructor would let me take over, within 3 seconds he had to take it back. And we do that like 3 or 4 times, and he was just like, okay, cool, so you don't know what you're doing yet? And I'm like, yeah, dude, this is my first time ever in a flying machine. What the fuck do you expect?
And was that the decision? Did you decide then there and then to go to wings, let's say?
Yeah, mostly for the cost. So back then it cost about $30,000 to get your first license in a helicopter versus only $10,000 in an airplane. So I was like, all right, it makes a lot more sense. And more jobs in airplanes. A lot of military guys take all those helicopter jobs because they already have way better experience and way better training than us civilian guys. So it's a harder market, but maybe one day. I don't know. Yeah. It's just a daydream at this point.
Yeah, man. And so, like, just fill me in on you as well, right? So you're a flight instructor now, right? So full circle from that day.
Yeah, I was actually just having this conversation the other day. It's a little trippy. I was sitting in a classroom, the same one that, I came up in doing all my training. And then I was sitting there with a student, and like 2 of my other students just happened to pop in, and we were all just like sitting at a round table kind of. They were asking me questions, and for a second, man, I had this out-of-body experience. I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? I am not the one to be answering y'all. Like, I am just as dumb as anybody else. And I don't know why I'm sitting here, but yeah, I'm a flight instructor now. It's fun as hell, dude. I never wanted to do it. Coming up, I was always like, man, there's too much liability in this stuff. Like, I don't want all of that responsibility, you know, because when we sign somebody's logbook, God forbid, knock on wood, like if anything ever happened to those people, the FAA is going to come and talk to us, right? But over time, you realize, like, you know, you just follow the rules, teach them what you need to teach them, and don't let them go off if they're not ready. And now I love it, man. There's nothing cooler than seeing somebody who is struggling with some phase of training, and then they finally have that aha moment. You know, usually I'm in the plane with them when it happens, and they're like, they look at me with big wide eyes, and they're like, "Oh, it makes sense now." And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, now you got it." So I love seeing the progression. It's cool.
It's the joy of teaching and coaching. You know, when you see the student where something starts to click and you know there's no going back, that they've gone to the next level and it's starting to make sense. And like you said there about in the classroom, you had a bit of an outer body experience. They say that's a good sign of a good teacher as well. If they have a little bit of imposter syndrome, that means they care and that they're good. So I think it's a natural thing for coaches and teachers and instructors and everything. You know, good ones. You know, not sociopaths and
Yeah, right.
egotistically guys.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear, man, because I feel imposter syndrome like all the time, man. So it just feels crazy, you know, trying to stay humble. But yeah, I love it. I love it.
It happened to me. I was just recording a voice message for my brother after the gym. It happened to me in the gym today in the changing room. Like a guy came up to me. We just started talking, and he was like, "Oh man, I wish I was in your shape." And I was like, "Wow, what? You talking to me? Like who? What?" And he's like, "Ah, it's because you're a coach, isn't it?" And I was like, "No, man, it's just consistency, you know." But it's just imposter syndrome again. Like I think it comes in different waves. The longer you're in a certain field, you know what I mean, and you're getting better and better at your job or your industry and stuff like that. But it's good, man. It means we're not narcissists or anything like that. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, 100%. Nah, you definitely seem like a humble guy, man. We've been exchanging a bunch of WhatsApp messages. So for everybody listening, Darren is actually based in Dubai, and I'm over here in the States. So we got a decent time change going on, but we're making it work today. And I want to give a quick shout out. So Darren's on Instagram. It's aviation_fitness. And we're going to get into that in just a minute. But go check out his page. He's got a lot of great content on there. 43,000 followers, my dude. Let's go, baby. Got a lot of...
Is that how you connected with me first? Is that where... Did you see one of the funny memes, or did you see...
Yeah, I think it was through Total Aviation, because he's a fellow aircraft mechanic, and somehow through there we got connected. And man, I'll tell you something. Us pilots, we love to flex on social media, man. I'm on all of them now. I'm playing with TikTok for the first time. I'm playing with every freaking social media out there, which sucks because I'm just so like ingrained into my phone at all times now. But a lot of pilots, a lot of people in the aviation industry out there sharing videos and stuff. I love it, man.
Yeah, it was a big surprise for me actually because my business is built on LinkedIn, right? Like for the last few years. And then, funnily enough, it was actually Total Aviation, the guy you just mentioned, lovely guy. I saw he was like one of the first aviation pages that I saw on Instagram, because I wasn't really on Instagram, just a little bit, just dipping my toe and passing time. And then I just happened to see one of his videos, and I started to get ideas. Then I was like, okay, I didn't think aviation people would be as prolific on Instagram, and I just reached out to him. And I said, "Hey man, any tips on how you do? I love what you do and everything like that." And yeah, we struck up a friendship, and he gave me a few pointers. So my Instagram page is actually because of him. Actually, he started me off. He gave me that nudge, and he says it as well. I often just text him and I say, "Hey man, thanks for the guidance." And he goes, "No, I just gave you a gentle nudge, you know." So he's also humble, you know. And I actually listened to his podcast with you a couple of days ago as well. It was interesting. Yeah. Nice guy.
Dude, yeah. Shout out Brent, Total Aviation on Instagram. If you haven't followed him yet, go do it. Also follow Darren. But yeah, Brent, what a cool guy. Shout out. Brent, if you're listening, dude, we love you, buddy.
And the content is just super engaging as well. A lot of night shift and stuff. It brings me back to when I was a mechanic. And yeah, it's good. I like it.
Yeah, Darren, so let's talk about you, man. Let's talk about your journey as an aviation mechanic before we get into your life now as a fitness coach. Yeah, so as you heard with Brent, you know, you guys see some crazy stuff. often underappreciated. The pilots seem to have the spotlight, and also pilots a lot of times can be like a bunch of little princesses. I also hang out with a bunch of aircraft mechanics, so I kind of like that world a little bit more because it's just dark humor and nothing but just like locker room talk in the hangar, dude. So I love that kind of stuff. But so how'd you get into it, man? Were you just a young man back in Ireland and you always had this idea of aviation, or where'd you start?
Yeah, so I was when I finished what you'd call high school, we call it secondary school. I went into automation robotics. So if I stuck with that, I'd probably be a millionaire now,
Yeah.
considering the world is going. But that kind of introduced me a little bit to like engineering and working with my hands a little bit. But I absolutely hated the maths, the mathematics. I just couldn't, and it was so mathematically intensive. And like I remember the first day of the course, the course instructor came in and said, "Congratulations, you chose the hardest course in this university." And I was and I hated maths. And what have I done? But anyway, the so after 2 years of that, I saw an advertisement for Lufthansa. They were looking for trainees, Lufthansa, the German airline, and because they had an MRO facility in Shannon Airport, which I mentioned earlier. So I did my apprenticeship there, 3 years as a structures technician or structures mechanic, I think you guys call it. In Europe, it's segmented. It's like structures or mechanic. It's like two different things. And then if you become an engineer, you kind of do both, right? So I did that, and then right after I qualified, I kind of got the travel bug, and that's why I joined aviation as well. Was I kind of knew that I wanted to leave Ireland for a few years and just see a bit of the world. And I heard that was like a good ticket out of there, and I heard the money was okay and everything. And I was just interested in airplanes because I remember like always going out to Shannon Airport with my dad, plane spotting and stuff like that. And I think a lot of people get into aviation through something like that, like their dad used to bring them, or so some nice memory or whatever. And then so I qualified, did your apprenticeship there in Shannon Aerospace, it was called. And then I got offered a 3-week contract in Switzerland. And that turned into like on and off for like 15 years, more or less. The 3 weeks turned into like 7 years over there contracting. And yeah, that was my intro into aviation. And then I was just contracting more or less for like 20 years as a structures technician, sometimes doing mechanic work as well, composites as well. That was actually my trade, was composites and structures. That's how it's kind of bundled in. And I did a little bit of crew control as well for a year, so I'm well versed with the office work as well, and the dispatch. I kind of got closer to the pilots in that kind of job role because I was communicating with them and the crew. But yeah, ultimately, mate, the goal actually was to become a pilot. I just never, and a lot of mechanics kind of start off as mechanics because it's like they want to segue into being a pilot, but it never happened. But yeah, happy with how I ended up in my little niche with the aviation industry in the end. It all worked out.
So composites, right? So you're kind of focused on the structure of the airplane, not so much engines, right?
Yeah, that was my apprenticeship. Yeah, like fuselage.
All right, and which aircraft specifically are you working on? Just like anything for the Lufthansa fleet, or did they sit you on one aircraft and you get like a type rating for that? How did that work?
Yeah, so the way we did it was we kind of started off in the workshops, right? Like we did experience in the flight controls workshop and the composites workshop, doors workshop, and then once you kind of earn your stripes a little bit, or they trust you, they let you off on a live aircraft then, and like Lufthansa, it was an MRO facility. Like they wouldn't just specifically just do Lufthansa; they would take in other airlines as well. So it was like 767, 737, A320. You're testing my memory now because it was like 25 years ago, but stuff like that, just standard medium haul commercial airlines. Yeah,
Dude, but
mostly
that's
jets.
that's a lot of different aircraft. So I mean, that's pretty cool. You had a pretty wide spectrum.
Yeah, and I think that's how I ended up getting the contract in Switzerland. They saw there was a bit of experience there. Yeah, I was quite lucky to land the contract right after qualifying. But that was also quite risky. I remember getting the flight over to Switzerland when they asked me to come over, and speaking of imposter syndrome, like I do not know what I'm doing, man. I'm not ready. But you're never ready.
That's true. That's true. Well, what was it like jumping into working for a German company, a big German corporation, and just being a part of that country's culture? Because I feel like Germans in engineering, it's like a very high level, yeah, like, and then you're coming from Ireland. Was that a culture shock or just kind of adjust okay?
Yeah, but it was good. It was good. To answer your question, like I mean, look, you've got aviation, which is strict enough with processes, and then you've got German processes on top of that. So it was airtight. It was airtight. It was good. But I think it was a great place to do an apprenticeship. Just give you that high level. It was a pretty respected MRO company as well, and it still is. So it was a nice intro into aviation, I would say. Yeah.
Well, that's even funnier because Irish guys, I feel like, have a lot better sense of humor than maybe a bunch of German guys walking around the hangar. I don't know. I could be wrong. But do you remember any like fun pranks you guys would do to each other, or the new guy you gotta mess with him a little bit while he's going through training? And did you experience any of that stuff?
So we were the new guys, and like sort of I think there was 11 of us in our cohort or our class. So we were the new guys, so we were the people being pranked on and stuff like that. But it was cool. It was kind of like starting university, because you're starting off with these 11 people from all around Ireland. And like first thing you do is go out drinking, and then second thing you do is go out drinking, and then you end up just drinking every night. So it was because we were college age, like we were like
Right.
I was maybe one of the older ones because I had 2 years of university done. So I think I was 21 when I started. But I was still in college, buffer drinking party age, and
Oh yeah.
they would have been, yeah, so they would have been slightly younger. So yeah, man, it was just like normal chaos of like university, because we were still apprentices, we were trained up, we were getting trained. We'd have like a half day on a Friday, and like Thursday nights were big, because we all used to like on Friday on the half day, we'd all go back to our places in Ireland. Like some people would have to travel like 3 hours. I wasn't so bad. I was like an hour away. But yeah, Thursday nights would have been absolutely chaos and coming into work hungover and stuff like that. But in terms of like pranks and stuff like that, geez, you're putting me on the spot, but there definitely was a lot of pranks. Like, I think I got caught with one, which was yeah, you used to get sent to the tool stores for some bullshit component that doesn't exist, like,
Oh man.
uh, like, oh, geez, man, I can't remember. They got me with one.
Yeah,
And I can't.
like they're sending you to the store and you're very confident. You're like, oh yeah, I get to go do the quick errand, and you walk in the store and you're like, I need a corkscrew drill, and they're like, what? What the?
And you're feeling part. No, they're
Yeah,
asking me.
yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, man.
I was curious because one of my mentors, as I mentioned, he's a aircraft mechanic and also a great pilot and a CFI. And when I first got my first aviation license, I was in a flying club, and one of the guys was like, hey, you should come down to the maintenance hangar and watch us work on engines and stuff. And I came into aviation with zero knowledge of any manly stuff like that. Like I never knew how an engine worked. I'd never really worked on cars growing up, none of that stuff. So getting to see the inside of airplanes was super cool, super fascinating to me, right? Well, my mechanic buddy, as most of them are, he was just grumpy as hell that day because he had already, done a lav dump, and now he's working on some general aviation little planes and doing some crap that's just like, you're like, damn, I got to fix this in again. So I walk in and he's like, what the hell are you doing here, man? I can't take on another apprentice. I don't have time for this shit. What, and I was like, whoa, 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 man. I just want to be a fly on the wall. I just want to learn. And so he goes, okay, good. And he took one screwdriver out of his tool chest and he put a piece of tape and he put my name on it, and then he hung it on the wall, like this wall where there was nothing. He goes, this is the only thing you're allowed to touch in this hangar. This is your one tool. And everybody that would walk in, they'd be like, oh, look, there's Nick's screwdriver, But it was good. A lot of hazing, but now, dude, me and that guy are super tight. He's helped me fly a King Air. He's helped me fly a jet. So a lot of respect to that guy.
Yeah, like that. As you're telling that story, I do remember there would like because you're kind of they're stressed out as it is trying to get a job over the line, and then you got these young guys hanging around trying to learn, and they're green and they're kind of slowing him down and stuff like that. It's pretty stressful. Like, and I've had it myself as I aged. When you get paired up with an apprentice, it's kind of stressful, because you're trying to get the job done and like on time and everything like that. But then you also kind of want to introduce this guy in a nice way to aviation, and so it's kind of hard. But I'll never forget the first guy that I got paired up with in Switzerland. So like first day on the job, new contract, you know, imposter syndrome through the roof. I just got my qualification, like I had barely any experience, and I got paired up with a guy from Northern Ireland, and oh man, he just hated me. He just hated me because he could just smell that I wasn't experienced and that I was going to slow him down and make him look bad, right? Because it's performance based. When you're a contractor and you're not fixed, like when you don't have a fixed permanent contract, you're thrown out the door if you're not performing, So, but then we ended up becoming best buddies, and like going for beers and everything like that. And yeah, God rest his soul. He actually died of a heart attack a few years later from the industry, really, and the stress of it all. But yeah, that was they always warm up, the grumpiest guys in the hangar always end up, being a teddy bear later on once you win them over with a beer or something like that,
100%. Yeah. Dude, the heart attack. Wow, that's crazy. So I want to get into that a little later too, because you've got some stories regarding that and just the stress that the industry puts on you. But all right, so you're working in composite for a while, and then you mentioned that you were kind of like a contractor most of your 20-year career, and that you're bouncing around just like in motels and stuff. So tell me, what was that like, just being a mechanic on the road? You're just really bouncing between all these countries all the time?
Man, it was brilliant. It was brilliant. Like when you're 23, 24, there's nothing more exciting than like rocking up to a new country with your suitcase and everything like that. It was brilliant. It's like everything. There's good and there's bad. Like it's hard to keep a routine. It's annoying trying to get used to a new hangar's procedures and how to order tools and everything like that, and where to get this and where to get that. But on the whole, mate, you just meet so many cool people. You get to see how different companies do it. You make friends for life. You see different parts of like the world. It was mostly Europe. Like I did a little bit in Australia as well. Never made it over to the States in terms of working, but I did take a lot of trips over there. But yeah, man, it was exactly what I wanted. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to date women from different countries. I wanted to try all the different beers in Belgium, and yeah, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I maybe stuck with it a little bit too long than what was healthy or necessary. But when you get set in your ways, it becomes a way of life. And funnily enough, when I've been living in Spain the last 4 years, and I kind of had to make a big decision to move everything to Dubai, or move myself and the business to Dubai. And like I had to sell everything that I'd accumulated over the last like 4 or 5 years, and like downsize and like really get everything into 2 blue suitcases. I think I have one behind me here. And like I was like really it took me a while. It was a big decision, because I'm 42 years old, and that's no easy thing to make at 42. But when I was doing it, it strangely felt comfortable and familiar from my contracting days, and very free, man, very liberating. And it kind of gave me that sense of when I was like in my 20s, bopping all over Europe, fixing airplanes and stuff like that. It was cool.
Yeah, dude, wow. That is a crazy feeling to have to purge your life, especially, after being a grown adult for a while. You're 40s, and, you accumulate a lot of shit in your life. They say if you get a big house, it's just, you're just going to fill it with more crap. And I know that feeling. When I moved home from Montana, I'd lived out there for 4 years. You accumulate furniture and this and that and whatever, and I had to squeeze everything down into my small compact car. I drive a Prius. And dude, it was like if it didn't fit, you couldn't take it with you. So sometimes it's nice just to kind of purge your life, get rid of a bunch of crap. I got rid of all these clothes, all this stuff I hadn't looked at in a few years. So it's kind of nice to clean out the closet every once in a while.
100%. And you know what, this isn't anything to do with aviation, but like I remember one of the things you mentioned, closet. One of the things that was making me question whether I should pack up and leave was all the clothes that I had in my closet, like all the gym clothes and suits and stuff like that. And then when I was actually made the decision and I packed them all up, I realized that I literally only wear the same few t-shirts and pants and shorts. Like I would say 1/16 of the entire closet is what I actually wear. And like then I was thinking, like, it's weird the way you can reframe things. I was like, Actually, it's a good thing to get rid of all this stuff because now somebody else can actually wear it, like give it to charity, and it actually gets used, you know. So yeah, it's definitely hard in the moment, but you learn some little things off it. Like, and you're from Montana originally, is it? Is
No,
that what
I,
you
I
said?
no, I say North Carolina is home. I only went to Montana after college because I was looking for big mountains to go skiing in.
Yeah. So the reason you caught my attention with Montana there was I'm just after watching a few episodes of
Yellowstone, maybe.
Yellowstone. Yes, 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 yes. Man, that place looks unbelievable. It's like the United States is calling me, man. It's if Dubai doesn't work out, it'll be the US next. Yeah.
Dude, yeah, it's a beautiful place. I kind of like to think of it as like a Garden of Eden because you can't take anything in with you, and you definitely can't take anything home when you leave because that's how my experience was. But yeah, it's cool if you like cold places. Yeah, you're Irish, dude. You can deal with the cold because we have like three seasons basically. We have winter, we have mud season, and then we have pre-winter. So it's the snow's all melting and it's all muddy. Summer's like a month long, 16-hour days, which is pretty cool. And then yeah, it's like right back into winter. But for us mountain folk that like winter, yeah, it's a paradise.
Yeah, no, man. I think Carolina would be more in my style, a little bit hotter. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we got four
I did my
seasons here. It's nice. I like being back home.
I did my time in the cold, mate. I'm done with that. I can't really handle that anymore. Yeah, yeah. As much as winter is nice. I mean, Ireland is a different winter though. It's not like pretty white snow. It's like just higher wind and higher rain, like
Ugh,
more intense, more
gosh,
misery.
more misery. Well,
Yeah.
man. So all right, so you're bouncing all over the world. You're fixing airplanes everywhere that you go. You're having a great time. You're a young guy. And then you had said, at one point you started to kind of work more in the crew department and you're kind of like bumping elbows with the dispatchers and going into the office and stuff like that. So let's let's talk about your decision to go that path. And then how did it feel every day? Are you like, oh, this is nice, I'm working in air conditioning, or did you kind of like see all the dirty mechanics coming in for lunch and you're kind of like, I missed that a little bit, let's talk all about it.
So it was the main reason for trying to get into an office was because I didn't want to become an engineer. I didn't want to like. It's not that I didn't want to. It's just I didn't see myself progressing to an engineer, right? So then I was like, well, what do I do then? I think the pilot card was already kind of out of the deck because I was kind of getting older. I was like 36 at this time. And back then you actually needed a university degree to actually even get in the door of a airline to be a pilot, even to get into their cadetship. That has actually changed now. It's actually a lot more flexible and easy to get in. But my main reason, mate, was yeah, just I needed some sort of direction to get me off the tools, because I was just kind of getting tired of it and cold. Like I needed to just get warm. I was like tired of working 10 hours a day in the cold hangar. And so yeah, I got a job with crew control. Now the thing was though, it wasn't even in the airport or anything like that. It was just like in an office in an industrial estate in County Dublin, like close enough to the airport, but not really anything to do with the airport. So when you said mechanics coming in and out, it really wasn't. It was just an office complex, and like you're just on the computer for 12 hours a day or night. It was like a 12-hour day and night shift. It was like a split shift. You do morning shift, evening shift, and night shift. And like, trust me, dude, the shift pattern made zero sense. Like it was like they were hazing you with the shift pattern, but in their head it made logic. But in our head, like it was honestly like you just feel permanently jet lagged in a way. It was just horrible. It was really horrible. And like that job was intense because when it goes wrong in crew control or dispatch, it goes really wrong. It's like one aircraft is AOG that has a spill on effect. The crew are out of hours now. The crew need a hotel. Oh, there's no hotel free that can take them. Right. What are we? And then the pilots are calling and they're like, where's our shuttle? Like, where's our hotel? And you're like, I don't have one for you. And it's like, then the next plane is AOG because we had to borrow a part from that plane to bring it over to this plane. It was like Tetris on steroids for 12 hours a day or a night. and you're dealing with fatigue. So like I always thought like that it would be way easier to be like in one of the office roles in aviation, but those guys have it as hard. And like I'll tell you straight out, after like I did that for like I think it was 8 months, and I was actually relieved to go back being a mechanic again and on the tools. It felt like a de-stress, and that job is stressful as well. You know, being a mechanic and structures and stuff like that. So I don't think there's any winning in aviation, man. There's no getting away from it. I don't know. What about being a flight instructor? How's the stress levels?
People ask me all the time. I don't know if I've just gotten lucky with my students, but I really don't have any of those stories of like, oh, he almost killed me today, and
Okay.
I think it's pretty low stress, But man, that's wild, dude. Like, yeah, definitely a house of cards. One little thing goes wrong, and it's kind of funny because from the pilot standpoint, if the aircraft is AOG, aircraft on ground, and it's broken, we're like, hell yeah, our day's done. We can just go to the hotel minibar early, and then you guys are over there scrambling and freaking out and trying to fix everything. And you got, 300 passengers that are pissed because they're not going to their destination on time and all that stuff. So I definitely.
And the pilots can also get pissed off because they sometimes have families to get home to, and like, let the babysitter get home, and like they might have I think you guys might call it like a dance recital or something like that. Like their kid might be in a play, we call it.
Yeah.
Like, so it's
soccer practice,
yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. But of course, sometimes if the plane is stuck in like Singapore or something, everyone's delighted because they can go out for a fancy dinner and whatnot. So yeah, usually. But yeah, I don't think there's any. Maybe you've got the best niche in aviation, like when it comes to stress. I don't know, but I'm sure with your job, when it gets stressful, it's like super zero, like 100% most stressful situation ever because the person is like panicking or whatever. I don't know. Does that ever happen?
Yeah, definitely. I think all good pilots and especially ones that have hung out with mechanics or are both, we have a vivid imagination of just everything that could go wrong at any moment. So for me, when I'm flying, because I do not just flight instruction, I also do I fly some passengers, or I'll ferry an airplane. Somebody bought a Cessna 172. It's in North Carolina. It has to go to Texas, right? So I'll fly it all the way there, or I'll do whatever. And then when I'm dealing with like weather or a plane that I've never touched before, and I got to go fly it all the way across the country, and that's where it gets a little stressful because I'm by myself. And then let's say that the fuel gauge just starts to kind of like jiggle a little bit or something, and I'm like, all right, is this thing about to crap out on me? Like, I start looking around like, okay, is there any fields? Is there some water I can go land in or something like that? That's when I get stressed out. And especially like if I have people on board, because if I go down, okay, so be it, whatever, I'm in charge of my life. But then you put other people's lives, in your hands. And that's when I'm like, all right, everything needs to go well. One time I was going from Connecticut back to North Carolina, and New York approach, they just put me like way, way, way out in the ocean, which was okay, fine. And the plane was running good. But even though everything was totally fine, all the gauges are green, smooth air, you just start thinking, you're like, all right, what if I lose this engine? What if this bitch just catches on fire? And I'm like looking on my iPad and I'm measuring the distances, and I'm like, okay, I'm about 30 miles offshore. I don't think I can glide that far. And then I'm looking for cargo ships, and I'm like, all right, if we go down, I'm gliding to that boat, and then I'm going gliding to that boat, So, but it's
all
all.
An option? Is that like something that you're like told it's not legal, but do it? Or like
going super far offshore?
No, I mean landing on a cargo ship.
Oh, no. I wouldn't land on it. I would just land as close as I could to it and then hop out and be like, hey, man, pick my ass up,
That makes way more sense.
Yeah. Like, landed on the cargo ship. That'd be crazy. No. That would, yeah.
Welcome. They can take it.
Yeah. Oh, man. Hey, if the circumstances were just right, maybe I'd have to do that. But, and it's so funny because it's like you get home and none of that stuff happened. You're just freaking yourself out for no reason. And I've asked other, airline guys, I'm like, once you get into something that's really got a bunch of redundant systems, it's super safe, all that, I was like, does that feeling ever go away? And people that are like me, they're like, nah, dude. Then you just start thinking of even crazier scenarios, you know? So I think the stress is like self-induced a lot for the pilots, but dude, yeah. So
Are you allowed, one thing you said there, are you guys actually allowed to fly alone? Is that, I always thought that there like has to be two people in the cockpit or something, but
yeah,
I guess
because I'm down here at the low level, right? I'm flying like piston aircraft, you know, pretty much anything that you're flying turbine, you're probably going to be working as a crew, except for some of the small ones, you know, and yeah. To answer your question, most everybody's flying as a two-man crew for everything that you're thinking of as transporting passengers. But, you know, I'm just flying the little, we call them bug smashers because we're so low to the ground. And it's true. When you taxi up to the hangar or whatever, your windshield's covered in bugs. The wings are covered in bugs. Like you wouldn't imagine it, but flying low, even at 4,000 or 5,000 feet, there's insects that you're hitting and they're just splattering on the window. So, yeah, air traffic control, they like to call all piston aircraft bug smashers because we fly low.
that's the first time I ever heard that. Interesting. Cool.
Dude, so you got, yeah.
Love it. You got into it because you still love it all these years later.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. It's the best job ever, especially compared to an office job. So let's talk about that. You know, you got back into wrenching, you got back into fixing airplanes. Was that first week just like being back in something familiar and no longer in the office? Were you just walking on cloud nine? Was it just a huge sigh of relief?
Yeah, we call it turning spanners is what we call it.
Nice.
So yeah, so it was interesting because when I took that office job, not only was I trying to progress my career, but I was also trying to get like a mortgage and stuff like that and make an attempt at being somewhat of a settled adult, right? And give up my pirate, beer drinking, pillaging ways, you know. That's what we used to call ourselves, modern day pirates, you know, because we're just like traveling all over the place drinking.
Yeah. Nomadic Irishman, dude, out in the wild, dude. I love it.
Yeah. And so I tell you that when I decided to leave the office job, I learned a lot from it. Like, and that came into play later on when I'm doing the fitness stuff. Is like it came into play later. You can't connect the dots until you look backwards, right? So it was definitely for a reason, and definitely gave me another aspect of aviation and a new reference. But yeah, to answer your question, when I went back turning spanners, it was bitter. It was weird, man, because it's like I actually ended up back in Switzerland, back in my old company that I used to, that like I think it was the first contract I ever took. And it was just weird being back there. And so in a way, it was like everything, mate. It was bittersweet. In a way, it felt like a bit of a failure and I was going back. But in another way, I immediately just missed, I immediately like reconnected with the banter with the guys and everything like that. And the money was better. Like that was a plus. And yeah, it kind of, I don't know, it kind of happened for a reason because I got a very stable contract in for a couple of years, and I was able to have a girlfriend there and a real relationship. And okay, a lot of the other pirate buddies had kind of dispersed and left Basel. It was Basel was the name of the city, by the way, Basel Airport. And but there was still a few remnants there. Fair enough, they were maybe a little bit more settled and had kids and stuff like that, but that was cool. So it was nice to kind of go back and have a more steady, normal kind of life, not pirate contracting ways, although there was a little bit of that, but not as much, you know. So yeah, to answer your question, man, it was anything familiar was comfortable, you know. And I will say, I think I was on my peak performance then in terms of like the jobs I was knocking out and the tasks that I was being given. I think I kind of came to my peak skill and productivity, let's say. Like I really just matured as a mechanic, because it is a skill, especially in sheet metal and structures. It's like it's kind of a skill that kind of gets better every year that you do it, you know. And I think being in crew control and stuff gave me a different way to think and problem solve. You know, everything happens for a reason, you know. So yeah, it was great, man, and it was great seeing old faces and stuff like that. And yeah, it turned out to be a good money earner as well and nice and steady. So it was exactly what I needed. Yeah.
I love to hear that. It's awesome, man. It definitely feels like it was all meant to be. You needed to go and take this weird path for just a second for you to come back and really appreciate what you were doing. And then, boom, you excelled at it. And so let's get to the point now where you've been doing this for a couple decades, and you're looking around and you're just seeing the stress that this industry puts on people, not just pilots, but everybody. Doesn't matter, what hat you're wearing. And you're looking at yourself, and you sent me kind of your before and after pictures yesterday, and you're looking at yourself and you're like, this job's taking a toll on my body. I'm feeling the same way right now. And you just said, I got to make a change. And you just jumped into fitness. So right off the bat, were you like, okay, I'm still going to be a mechanic, but I'm going to start working out and get healthy? Or did you just leave aviation and you're like, I'm starting this fitness job? And, tell me about that transition.
So, what happened was, I just told you about that nice, steady 2-year contract after the crew control. So what I didn't say was how that ended. So how that ended was COVID-19, right? And the entire fleet. So at the time I was working in a private outfitting company. It was actually an American company. No, excuse me, it was a Swiss company. And basically what they did was they would take private jets and they would basically pimp my ride, right? I don't know if you know what outfitting is. I think you call it outfitting in the US. It's like basically rich people who buy 747s or 737s or whatever would buy it off the production line and send them directly to an outfitting company like the company I worked with in Switzerland. And basically that company then would just gut the whole airplane and like take out all the seats, everything, in some cases, the emergency doors, everything, and just outfit the entire plane to the spec that the client wants it, which is usually full of gold and widescreen TVs and jacuzzis and showers and crazy stuff, cinemas and double bedrooms and all this crazy stuff, right? So that's what we were doing. And did you want to say something there, man? I see something on
Dude, yeah, man, that is some wild shit, people that do that. And I'm just so curious, like, what is the cost? Because, the aircraft has a sticker price, but then you guys go in and refurbish everything, and did you ever see some of the invoices? Like, what does that cost, bro?
I think it's just unfathomable or whatever the word is. Like, I think it's just, I would say, because like when you look into it, it's like those things are there for like 2 or 3 years getting worked on.
Oh my God.
Like it can take 2 or 3 years to outfit. And like there's constant delays with engineering and like, so like just, it's hard to tell because they have to pay Boeing and Airbus to get engineering orders and to change things. Like I remember a 747 we worked on, the guy wanted the emergency exit blocked because he wanted to have his bedroom there. And that's a massive thing that Boeing never did before. So they have to get paid. We have to get paid. You've got the materials. You've got the guard dogs walking around like German shepherds checking for, if anyone is planting anything. And this is all in Switzerland. So that's not cheap. You know what I mean? Like Switzerland companies are not cheap to work for. So it's like, man, I don't know. Like I have no idea. Like I would say, some of those things could be touching on the billion, like, I imagine like it's, it's a different world,
that is so crazy. And now that you say that kind of stuff, I never thought of it, but man, to be like a project manager on something like that, because you're right, this crazy, I'm just gonna go ahead and guess they're Saudis, dude, because I don't know, it's either Saudis or Russians that got that much money, and maybe a couple of tech billionaires in the States, but like, yeah, this wise asshole, he's like, oh no, I don't want my emergency exit there, I want my bedroom there. So then that project manager's got to go and contact like the freaking all of the like FAA and ICAO and be like, okay, we got Boeing at the table. We're going to move the already, agreed upon exit of this aircraft. And now we got to put what we call it an STC, oh man, all that paperwork and red tape.
Even like one aircraft, I can't say it for GDPR reasons. Right. I'm just private. Like one of them, like I worked on one aircraft's bed for 6 months, 6 months straight.
Oh my
on a
God.
bed, because the bed had to go down from level 1 down to level 2. It was a telescopic bed,
Oh
so
my
like
God.
one level of the 747 down to the other level. And then in that last contract, actually, that bed was like actually about 8 years ago on a different contract, same company. But on that recent contract, there was I was working on a shower, so the airplane had a shower, and I think it was a A380. It was a private A380, which is the biggest jet in the world, right? And it was no, was it an A380? I can't remember, but I had a shower in it anyway, and I was working on the top of the shower. It was like a light box basically. Like I shit you not, for like 8 months working on this thing, and like just constant delays back and forth with engineering, and just a shower box, just a light box that goes over the shower head so that there's kind of like lighting in the shower. Like 8 months, and I was charging, man. I wasn't getting paid pennies. I was getting paid good money. Like, and so even that one component and the materials, because we had to scrap it the first time. Uh, and that might put like we had to scrap the first one, we had to start again, and it was like 8 months. So like even that one little component, and like man, these things have like spiral staircases in them, like with gold, like gold inlays, gold painting, gold, and like they look really good. Like they've got the best designers all over the world, even just designing the drawings. Like the way I can kind of describe it is, you know how a yacht like has a really nice ambience. It's like multiply that by 10, and they have this beautiful yacht ambience, but it's a 747. It's unbelievable what they can do. It was very interesting to be a part of it actually, and nice to see it all come together as well. Very classy looking. I respect it in a way, but it's a different world, man. Their life is a different world. They don't think in like money or anything. They think in years and projects. Like they don't think in money. It's like we can't even. I don't know how much it costs, dude. A billion? I don't know.
I just Googled it. So a brand new Airbus is $400 million. So let's just say, hell, just double that number, right? Because if you're tearing it apart and you're paying all these people to build shit, yeah, you're looking at $1 billion plane, maybe. That's freaking crazy, dude. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm so cool. I'm so glad that you brought this up because, man, we got to do an episode number 2 just where you tell me all the wild stories about working at this company, because I have a similar story in that, when I was in Montana, I was working at a private ski resort. They own their own mountain, and so like it's basically like a mini city right there in this valley, and it's all heavily security is huge. And I was working in the accounting side of the project development team, so we actually got to tour some of these homes, and man, there's ranch homes out there that are 26,000 square feet. So imagine like basically an office building. That's your house. Dude, I mean, just crazy. Just the craziest shit. Like one guy, he didn't like to back his car out, so he had a revolving turntable installed in his garage. Just it's like you said, they don't think in money. It was so crazy.
They think in projects and status and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And actually, fun story. One that I worked on about 8 years ago. I think it was the 747 with the telescopic bed. Apparently, it never even got used. It's just like sitting in a desert. Like it got ferried from the company to the desert, and it's like because he had another one. He had another one that he used. Like he had two.
Oh my God. That's insane. Well, really quick. So the beds, I've always been curious. Do the beds have seatbelts in them?
No. Well, I didn't see the bed finished, to be honest with you. I was just working on the structural aspect of it,
Or
and I wasn't.
any of the beds that you've ever installed? Because like some of the couches, they have seatbelts, right?
Yeah, no, I don't think the beds have seatbelts. I think there just has to be a couch across from the bed that has a seatbelt. I think that's the safety workaround. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
But don't quote me on that now, because I wasn't there. You see, what happens is like I was the structures guy, and it happens in phases. So like when the structures are finished, the interiors come in, and then we're gone to another airplane or a different contract or something. So we never actually really got to see the finished product, just on pictures and stuff like that, which look cool.
Dude, that is so cool. And the fact that you can have a shower on board an aircraft. It always blows my mind. The first time I had heard about it, I think it was, like you said, it was an A380, and it was a comedian on his podcast that I like to listen to, and he was on Emirates, and I think he was going to Dubai from the States, and he's sitting up in like first class, I think, and the flight attendant, she comes up and she's like, "Okay, sir, here's your, champagne, welcome aboard. What time would you like to take your shower?" And he was like, "What?" He's like, "I'm fine. I don't need that." And then luckily this flight attendant was nice enough. And I know on Emirates, the service has got to be like 100%. They're so good at that airline. And the woman was like, "Well, sir, have you ever taken a shower on board a plane before?" And he was like, "No, I haven't." And she was like, "Well, you should take this opportunity then." And he was smart enough, on an international flight, sometimes it's like 16 hours. So he decided to take a shower like 2 hours before landing, because then he could like sleep. And he said it was the coolest feeling ever to be like, I'm at, 38,000 feet on a passenger aircraft and I'm taking a shower. Like, what the hell is this, dude? That's so crazy.
What a world we live in. Have you seen the Emirates advertisement with Jennifer Aniston in the showers?
No, I'm about to Google that next, bro.
She's not in the shower, but like, it's a good one. It's like she has a nightmare that she wakes up. She wakes up to take a shower, but she's not on an Emirates flight, and she's like, "Where's the showers?" And the crew start laughing at her, like, "There's no showers on aircrafts. What are you talking about?" And like, she wakes up from this nightmare in this beautiful Emirates flight, and they're like handing her shower cap or whatever, like, you know what I mean? It's cool.
Dude, that's awesome. I love that.
Those Emirates A380s are a different level. Yeah, there's something else. And actually, funny story with the A380. I worked in the wing of an A380 for like 6 months, 12-hour night shifts, working in the wing of an A380 in Frankfurt. It was minging. You know what minging means? It was hard. It was brutal. A bad contract. It was one of the more brutal contracts. Yeah. But those things are crazy, man. The fact that you can actually stand up in the wing, it's that big, like stand up fully upright. So yeah, showers. I think, it's no problem to them. It's
wow. I never realized that you could stand up inside of the wing. I mean, I knew that they're huge, but I didn't realize that. That's crazy.
Massive. Yeah, absolute monsters. Like the absolute monsters. Yeah, you just when you're in it, literally, you're like, how does this thing get off the ground? It's just a testament to physics and sheer force, like jet fuel power, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
Because like the wing, like it's just the aluminium is just so thick, you know what I mean? And you're like, when you're in it, you're like, how can this get off the ground, like, and land and not break? When it hits the ground, it's just insane. It's really a marvel of engineering, really.
Yeah, I love it. I tell everybody, I tell all my students, I say, thank God for all the smart people out there in the world that are figuring this stuff out, because if it were up to me, we'd never get off the ground. But thank God, I just have to know how it works, kind of, sort of, what buttons to push, and then, the smart people do the rest. Dude, it's so cool, man. You had such a tremendous career. And so, again, at one point, it got to you. And during COVID, everything's shutting down, and you're kind of looking at yourself, and you're like, I got to make a change. So you start working out, right?
Well, what happened was, so that contract ended because of COVID, and I was in Switzerland. I was in France at the time, which is on the border of Switzerland. I was in literally a hotel called the Border Hotel, and I was working in Switzerland, so we're going over the border every day to the airport. Lots of people working in those companies in Switzerland used to do that. But then COVID hit, and I lost my contract, right? And I had no protection, like social protection or anything like that. So I was getting no money. However, I was a little bit snookered because I was in a relationship at the time with a woman who lived in Switzerland. And then, so I was like, okay, I'll hang around a couple of weeks. I have a bit of money saved up and everything. I'll just stay in the hotel. I'll try like start an online business or something like that, because I have nothing else to do. But then the COVID started to really kind of increase a little bit, and France were like shutting down their borders, and they were getting the army on the borders. And I saw this happening, Yeah, I could see it from my hotel window. I could see like army dudes at the border. And then I was like, well, this is really shit, because I'm going to get stuck here for months, and So I snuck across the border one night. I just packed up my bag, paid the hotel what I owed them, snuck across the border one night, and stayed with my girlfriend for a couple of weeks, and then got an Airbnb. So anyway, I was in Switzerland with no visa, and you do need a visa for Switzerland. You're not supposed to be there. It's not in the European Union. You do need to have a visa, even if you're European. And so anyway, I got myself an Airbnb, and I was trying to start a marketing agency, or like do freelance marketing or something just to pay the bills, because I'm in the most expensive country in Europe, right? And anyway, so I invested a lot of money into a mentorship. Like my last like few thousand, I had a bit of a buffer to give me, like, I had a kind of a 6 month buffer, right? And man, I just worked my balls off trying to get it off the ground. And I was just at my desk for like 12 hours a day and everything. And I was already overweight because of like aviation and the stresses and everything like that. We were doing 12-hour shifts in the contract. And it just escalated then. And then I was like drinking a glass of wine every day. And like I just ballooned up to like 40 kilograms. But I actually started to get that little freelancing marketing business off the ground a little bit. But that brought on its own stress then. And you know, the world was ending, you know, like as we knew it, we didn't know what was happening. I was away from my family, who were all in Ireland, and it was a lot of stress and a lot of emotions. And then the relationship went south, and everything just kind of compiled, and I just started binging, and I just started like the stress just got on top of me, you know. And I'd been that heavy. I'd always been yo-yo dieting for years, you know, like sometimes you just make good progress with a fitness attempt, and then an AOG would come in, or a shift change, or a particularly stressful project like some guy's telescopic bed or shower head or whatever, and you just, all your focus just has to go on that for 6 months, and then your fitness attempt is gone, you know. So I'd always been fluctuating, but this one was particularly like aggressive because there was a lot of stress involved and everything like that. So long story short, anyway, mate, like I got so heavy that like I started to develop like heart disease, basically, is what my doctor told me. And we have that in the family. So that was like a real wake up call then. And so long story short, anyway, mate, I ended up hiring a coach, like pretty serious science-based coach, who has like a 6 month online program, which is very similar to what I offer now. And it absolutely changed my life. And it like, I just fell in love with fitness, and it just gave me that balance that I never had, you know. Because, you know, when you try going to the gym, but you don't have a nutrition kind of protocol, or you do a diet, but you're missing the gym, or you're doing something and it's just not sustainable, you know. And funnily enough, that became the name of my fitness business, which is like Sustainable Aviation Fitness. We're still playing with that name. We're calling it Aviation Fitness now, but sustainable is still there because that's what it is. So anyway, mate, that program changed my life. I ended up working for him a little bit. He just saw that I loved it, and he became a mentor. And then I broke off on my own, started helping my own clients. At the beginning, I wasn't just helping aviation people, I was helping everybody. But I quickly started to notice that there was a few aviation people coming on my fitness program. And I then really quickly started to correlate that the aviation people were getting such better results, and they were just taking to the program like a duck to water. And it took me a while to figure out why. And I also loved working with them more. It was like I was back in the hangar. It was like one of the things I was missing from aviation on this journey was the hangar banter, right? And just, you know, you're working with, like, aviation people are salt of the earth. They're just good people, you know. And I'm not, that's not virtue signaling or anything. That's legit. Like, they are just good folk, you know what I mean? Just good, hardworking folk that want to do well. And I don't think people who are just not responsible are allowed into aviation. They get stuck at the interview process, you know. So I really noticed that aviation people were just taken to the program like a duck to water. It took me a while to figure it out, but it's because I realized it's because, look, my program was built with an aviation person's brain, with like systems and processes and backups and remove before flights, and it's analytically minded. Like most aviation people are. They're not afraid of a bit of data, and also, quite frankly, mate, they're just not afraid to get their hands dirty and to get their sleeves rolled up and see a project out till the end. And that's why then, like 2 years ago, I just made the decision to like jump in and just focus solely on the aviation industry, which was the hardest decision I've ever made because I'm excluding all of my other clients and following that I had at the time. But it was also the best decision I ever made because the aviation industry then just support you and people were recommending each other and I just got to work with aviation people then and that was my long story, mate, about how I got overweight. But I was always overweight. I was always struggling, man. Like it was always, attempts and then stopping and attempt again, and then Christmas would knock you off, or this black and white thinking. So that's what I teach now. Is like I give aviation people a system, a blueprint, to basically remove that stopping and starting and that all or nothing perfectionism thinking, which is the hardest thing with aviation people because they're such perfectionists. Is to iron that out and they have a system then that gives them flexibility, right? I teach flexible eating and flexible fitness. So yeah, did I answer your question or did I digress again there, mate? I tend to digress.
Dude, no, that was a wonderful story of how we are where we are now today. You as a fitness coach helping out everybody in the industry, not just pilots.
Yeah.
And kudos to you, man, for being an entrepreneur. A lot of pilots out there at the big airlines, they all know it's like pilot might be my first job or it might be my second job, right? Like a lot of guys out there, they have a side business because this industry is always up and down. And so you have to have something to fall back onto when there's a downturn in this industry. And you definitely figured out your niche, man, and you're killing it. But one thing we talked about, I interviewed Fit for Flight coaching, and I'm working with him, trying to get into a better shape, get healthier, stop eating pizza at midnight and going to bed. But
congrats on making that decision. Not everybody invests in their health. That's a big decision. So good on you. I'm sure you'll do great.
Yeah, it was. It was a big investment, as we talked about. But you said something to me the other day on the phone, which makes sense. The cost of it has to hurt a little bit for you to get off your ass and really get to work. So I've taken that to heart. That's my new mantra. So appreciate it, Darren. Thank you.
Man. That's the sting a little bit.
Yeah,
that's the sting.
Yeah, it's stinging, but it's good. Growing pains. But dude, something that we talked about that I like your approach. You're not just working with pilots. You're working with everybody in the aviation industry. And one thing, my question is how many flight attendants are you working with? I have friends that are flight attendants, man, and those people, like, I'm sure that you were in your party stage. Man, I feel like flight attendants, all they do is they work a little bit and they just party, and I could see how the lifestyle catches up with some of them. I mean, like, I have friends that were little skinny ladies and how they are not, so.
Yeah, they have it hard. They really do. So to answer your question, how many flight attendants? So I'd say, so I work with, like, I have about 120 clients on my portfolio right now. And I would say about 5 to 10% of them, maybe 7% are flight attendants.
Okay.
Since I started the Instagram stuff, we're getting a lot more. But when I'm more based on LinkedIn, it's more like CEOs, mechanics, engineers, pilots, and stuff like that. There isn't many crew or flight attendants on LinkedIn. I don't know why. But yeah, Instagram, they're all over it. So yeah, we're starting to get them in, and I have to say it's a challenge, but I'm enjoying the challenge with them. And yeah, it does catch up with them. Have you heard of what a door clicker is?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I know that.
So that's what happens. Like once they're over once a flight attendant or even maybe a pilot, once they're over the initial, yeah, I'm a flight attendant, this is amazing, I'm flying all over the world, and it starts to catch up with them a little bit, and the novelty wears off, they become a door clicker, right? Where they fly and they go into their hotel room, they close the hotel door, and they don't go out or anything like that. So that's, we kind of work with a mix, right? So I would say that's who we work with more, because the flight attendants who are still in their party scene or party phase, they're not, there's different levels of awareness and want on a fitness journey. There's different levels of, like, what's the word I'm looking for?
They don't have the desire yet. They're enjoying what they're doing, and they're not ready to make the change. And, they're more dedicated to, hey, let's go check out that nightclub versus let me go to bed early so I can get a workout in before our flight, that kind of lifestyle.
But exactly. But urgency is the word I was looking for. Yeah. But that quickly, it's usually, I haven't spoken to so many now, I think it's like 2 years is when the novelty starts to wear off and it starts to kind of catch up with them. And it does. Nobody seems to be exempt from it. Maybe a few Ukrainian or Russian women with very good genetics or something can get away with it a bit longer, but generally it's harsh, man. Especially the long haul. Oh my God, it's harsh. Even the short haul, it's they have it hard. Like it's so hard. It's a hard job, and the more I'm working with them, the more I'm loving working with them because they need it. It's they have it hard, man. They're dealing with the passengers, who are not always the nicest.
Especially now, I call it my captain and I, we coined the term airline induced hysteria. It seems like on social media, all you see now is people losing their damn mind at airports and on flights. It's crazy, man.
Honestly, that terrifies me when I see somebody losing their shit on a flight. It's like so much can go wrong, like it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Because you're up there, it's tube, and it's like there's nowhere to go if somebody decides to. Yeah, yeah. They're dealing with that hands-on. They're the first line of defense, actually.
That's right. That's right. Dude, so I don't know how much we can disclose, obviously privacy and all that, but you are working with a vast clientele and you're talking to everybody in the industry. The other day you had mentioned that you have a friend who's like the head of air traffic control for the UK or something like that. Just can you highlight some of like your big clients and then kind of tell me about some of the stresses that they deal with? Or maybe we'll have to do episode 2 because I love to highlight the stressful shit. We could talk all day about, I took this wonderful trip. That's not fun listening. Good podcasting is like, you want to hear something crazy? So let's talk about all those wild clients you got.
So I'll talk about the ATC client. He's a client of mine. So I won't say which country, but he's head of air traffic control for one country. And like I remember specifically the reason why he joined was when we were on the initial consultation. So for when somebody's interested in joining or getting help, I give a free consultation and just kind of learn about them and also see if they're coachable, right? Because we can't help people who are not coachable. And by coachable, I just mean like, open to taking direction and stuff like that and just forthcoming with information. So I had a call with him and I was like, so why? I always ask, like, what's the real reason for joining? Once we get over the whole, I want to lose a few kilos and stuff like that and look and feel better and stuff like that. And he was like, well, my predecessor had a heart attack, like the previous head of air traffic control at 42 years old. And his predecessor had a heart attack at 38 years old. I just did his job, and I don't want to be a predecessor for the next person, So like, but yeah, like I can imagine why, like, they're highly stressful. With us mechanics and stuff like that, it's kind of like delayed. There's a delayed risk if you make a mistake, but with air traffic control and you guys, like, there's no room for error. Like, there's no AOG or something. It's like this thing has to land and this thing has to be perfect. And like if we make a mistake, like I always remember I drilled through a coaxial cable one time on a RJ 100, I think it was. I don't know if you know what it is. It's a I think Canadian plane maybe. And it was a coaxial cable and it cost like 100,000 to repair it. And the aircraft was delayed 2 weeks, so you got the cost of the manpower, and I was the guy walking around the hangar for the next month feeling like an absolute pleb, we say in Ireland, or idiot, like, what I mean? All you're allowed touch is like, well, what did you say earlier on? Like, you put a screw and like that's all you're allowed touch for the next 2 weeks or
exactly.
whatever. go sweep the floors for the next month, and you're like, oh fuck. So like if we make a mistake, like at least the aircraft is delayed or whatever. It's not the end of the world, and you just order a new cable and you fix it and whatever. But like if air traffic control make a mistake like that, they don't switch off, man. They don't switch off at all. Like they take that stuff home to bed with them, to the family. They're thinking about it 24/7. I know they're having dreams, like aircraft dreams all night long. They're waking up, like it's intense. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong. My brother is now a retired air traffic controller. He put in his 20 years and he decided to retire early. And he said that, his posture is better. He's sleeping a little better. kind of like you had mentioned earlier, the three shifts, it's impossible. You always feel jet lagged. I think he's been sleep deprived for the past like 15 years because even in retirement now, he's just trying to catch up on his sleep for that he's lost over the last decade. And something interesting that we were just kind of going back and forth with yesterday, I sent him a silly meme of like, this is what it's like when an air traffic controller, is pissed because somebody spoke up when it wasn't their turn. And we started talking on that. And he goes, yeah, man, we don't just look at the screen and just be like, okay, this dot, this dot, this dot. No, it's like we already have not only how the flow should be, but how we're going to transmit and who we're going to talk to at what moment. So if you jump in and you just say something, now I have to respond to you, and now you've like fucked up my whole transmission cycle. And I was like, what? You're planning on when to say what to who? And he's like, yeah, we're thinking about that. And I was like, oh man, this is insane. Like, you're just crazy.
That's the first I ever even heard of that. Now I'm getting another glimpse of why it's so stressful. Yeah. Jeez, man. And so your brother did that for 20 years. Wow, congrats to him. Like,
yeah, it may have been a little bit longer than 20 years. I can't remember now. And I've been to work with him a bunch, and I don't know if it's just, well, obviously I'm just sitting there watching as a pedestrian, but people always say, oh, it's so stressful. When I would go in there, I was like, man, if anything, it's just boring. I don't want to do this crap. But I love having a brother in air traffic control, because anytime I have questions, I have somebody to call, or if I meet a grumpy controller, we can go on live ATC now. If you've ever been on liveatc.com, everything's all recorded. So I told him this one time, and we literally just went and pulled up the radio transmissions, and we're talking to each other on speakerphone, and he's like, oh yeah, that guy's an asshole. He probably had a shit morning, and blah, blah, blah. So it's fun to banter with him.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of meme pages now that just have like funny ATC conversations with pilots and stuff like that now. It's quite funny. Did you ever land a plane with your brother being in air traffic control? Did you ever communicate?
Dude, I'm so sad to say this. I knew he had his retirement coming up, and so we had talked about it a bunch. He was working at San Antonio in Texas, which is a Class C, fairly big, busy airspace. And so I never quite had like an opportunity to get there until I was taking one plane from California all the way to North Carolina. And I was flying it with the owner, and when you're with an owner, you're not really pushing them. You're just on their time, right? And this guy was treating it kind of like a vacation. And good for him. You don't get to fly a small plane all the way across the country every day. So he was nice enough for us to fly a couple hundred miles out of the way to go south to Texas. And I got to go see my brother and my nephews and my sister-in-law and get to have dinner, spend the night with them. And then the next day, my brother was working, right? And he was like, all right, I'm going to go on shift. Like, that way we can kind of do radio transmissions. And he actually worked, usually you only work like a 45-minute to an hour at a time, and then they have about an hour break because they have to de-stress. So like in an 8-hour shift, you're only working like 4 hours. But again, it's brutal. And since COVID, sometimes they're shorthanded and shit's all messed up now. But nonetheless, so my brother stayed on frequency for like an hour and 35 minutes or something, like way, way, way longer than he needed to, because he was waiting for us to like get going. And I was like very politely trying to push the owner and be like, hey man, okay. And he's like, oh, I'm just going to go use the bathroom one more time. And he's just like, he's just having fun on vacation. And I'm like, fuck. And I'm like texting my brother, and he's like, bro, I just went off shift. And right then we cranked up. And so I talked to one of his coworkers, and they're like, they gave us priority. So there was like 8 airliners, right, all kind of lined up, ready for takeoff. And then you see us, just like this little Cessna. We just went past everybody, and we go right to the runway, and we take off. And on the frequency, they're like, hey, your brother JP, he said he loves you and stuff like that. And I was like, that was as close as we came to it. And I was like, fuck, man. So it's all good. It's all good, yeah.
An aviation family. That's interesting.
Yeah, it kind of worked out that way. Mom's a pilot. She met my stepdad. He was her flight instructor way back. Then he became my flight instructor. Yeah, brother's air traffic control. My dad, he passed away, but he worked at Miami Center as an electrical engineer. And then my grandfather was a fighter pilot, dude. So I tried to go as far away. I tried to go as far away from it for as long as I could, thinking I was going to go do finance and work on Wall Street. Nah, aviation, if it's in your blood, it's going to suck you in.
And once you're in, you can never really get out. You can start different businesses and stuff, but it'll always come back to aviation. You know, I thought I was gone. Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
That's right, baby.
But I'm happy. I've never been happier. Like I honestly, I see it full circle now. I'm so happy to be helping the aviation industry out. It's rewarding. You know, it's like my ikigai. You know, it's my purpose now.
Dude. Well, hey, next time you're planning on coming to the U.S., make a pit stop in North Carolina. We're going to get you in a small aircraft. We're going to give you some flying lessons. All right. You're going to be at the controls, because I don't know if you've ever done that before, but now that you're working with all these pilots and everybody in the industry, man, we got to get you flying, buddy. So come on to North Carolina anytime you want, man. I'll take you in the plane and we'll give you some lessons.
Well, I'm flirting with the idea of getting my PPL, so maybe I'll do it there. Maybe I'll just base myself in after Dubai. I'll go there, and just a lot of my clients are there now as well. So like, yeah, it'd be cool.
100%, man. With your PPL, you can fly anywhere in the country, and it's just the craziest amount of freedom just to be in a flying club. Like a lot of people, you just schedule the aircraft for on a Friday. You fly out. Here in North Carolina, we have a bunch of islands, so what would be like a 6-hour drive to get out to the islands is an hour flight in our small little trainer planes, and you just go land on the runway, dude, it's right next to the sand, and you park the plane, and dude, 10 steps, you already got your toes in the water. Like, it's freaking sweet, man.
So, like as an example, like on any given weekend, you and your partner could just go, oh, let's go to New York for the weekend, and you just like hop on the plane and you tell New York that you're going to be there in a few hours, and it's like just like that, like, or what? Or do you have to get permission?
It's a great question. A lot of people ask me. So there's two ways of going about it. You can file a flight plan, and then New York kind of knows that you're coming, and they have an expected route for you. Or the beauty of aviation in the United States is that we can just go, baby. And if you want to just avoid airspace, you just fly around it and you don't talk to anybody. So actually in New York, which is so crazy for me, I was doing aerial survey, so I would have to go up and like all the way up to Boston, just up and down the East Coast all the time. And we're in a little tiny plane, and so there was two options. Either we go all the way around New York if we're talking to them, or they have a corridor through the airspace, which is just the Hudson River. And as long as you are below 1,300 feet, you do not need to talk to air traffic control. You just talk to the other planes that are in that corridor. And so we just self-announce, and we're like, hey, I'm a white high-wing airplane, and I'm going northbound, and I'm passing the Statue of Liberty. And then this guy will be like, hey, I'm a blue low-wing airplane, and I'm heading south, and I'm passing the bridge, right? And eventually we see each other like this. But, bro, it is super crazy because we fly right next to the World Trade Center. And we're so low that like we're only halfway up the building. And every time I've done it, I look over at my buddies and I'm like, dude, people crashed airplanes into that building, and yet we're still allowed to fly right next to it, and we're not even talking to air traffic control. Like the system here, it's crazy. It's crazy the amount of freedom that we get to exercise, and it's like the rules are in place, right? So everything is going to operate properly, but it blows my mind.
That's the first time I've ever heard anything like that. I wonder, do the people in the buildings know this? Like, do they know how liberated it is or whatever, you know?
I think to a little extent, because we have a boatload of helicopters flying all over New York and landing on top of buildings and moving rich people around and stuff like that. So they might know, but they probably don't know about the corridor. So I want to wrap up things on Dubai, man. So going from Europe to Dubai, that's not a short hop. It's a big decision. It's definitely a way different culture. Just, I don't know what it's like with getting a visa to stay in Dubai, and like why that place. And it looks amazing. My parents have been over there twice, so what's the good, what's the bad? Tell me everything, the process getting over there.
Well, it's different for everybody, right? But if you're a business owner like myself, in terms of like just nuts and bolts of the visa, you basically super easy to set up as a self-employed business. Like, oh, it's a dream. Like it's like Dubai is set up for business. Like it is a dream, and that's why it's attracting like all the aviation companies now all over the world, and loads of companies and coaches and everything. So The business side of things wasn't so bad. You kind of just basically, if you're a business owner, you hire yourself through the business as a manager or director, and you issue yourself a visa to live here through the business. And the cool thing is that you don't even really have to live here. You just have to be here every 6 months for even if you just have like a cup of coffee at the airport for a few hours. As long as you just get the visa stamped, you can go away again. And in most cases, you just have to be careful that you don't spend over 6 months in a certain country because then you become a tax resident of that country. So that's the kind of the game, you know. So I'm definitely fully nomadic. But the way I wanted to do it was I've never even been here before I moved over here, and I just wanted a new adventure. I felt like I was getting stale, you know, and I'd been through like 4 years of building the business in Spain where I used to live. I lived in Barcelona for 2 years and in Malaga, and I was just stagnant. You know, I was just like I'd been like building a business is hard, and like I was just like, man, I just need an adventure. I haven't even had a vacation in the 4 years. It was that hard. I gave it my all, you know, and I was like, I just need an adventure, man, and like the more I was looking into Dubai, it was like it's fast becoming like the aviation hub of the world. Like they're building a second airport now, which is going to be even bigger than I think it's like the third biggest airport in the world is what they already have. So I think they just want it to be the biggest. I think it's going to be called Maktoum Airport or Maktoum Airport or something. Huge. And you know they're building it for like the future of aviation, like vertical takeoff. You know, like drones and stuff like that, right? They're building it for the A380s. And the influx of people that they're expecting to move here and travel here, and it's like, you know, Dubai is the center of like when you're traveling around the world. Dubai is usually one of the biggest stopovers, you know, positioned like geographically. So that was part of the reason why I wanted to move here, and also it's becoming the fitness hub of the world. I think it's becoming the hub of everything in the world, man. Like all the best fitness coaches are here now, and all the best entrepreneurs, the biggest aviation companies, the biggest airlines, and this is where I need to be, man. I'm in fitness and I'm in aviation, and I need to be in a bigger pond, you know. So there was something intriguing about it to me, and exotic a little bit. And I've traveled like all over the world, like not just fixing airplanes, but like what I used to do when a contract would end in Switzerland and when my pockets were full of money, I'd just go off backpacking for like a year in Asia or whatever, or South America. I know you said you live in South America. Where was that, by the way?
I was in Venezuela, and then I spent a little time in Ecuador and also Argentina, yeah.
So Venezuela, proper South America. So yeah, so like the real deal. And so like I have been all over the world, but I've never been to the Middle East. I've never been there. I've never been to Dubai or Qatar or anywhere in this region, not even on a stopover, like because I stopped over in like Istanbul and then flew over it. So there was something interesting to me about it, you know, and like it's like so safe and everything. The more, you know, I started looking into YouTube videos, and it's like it's so safe and the weather is good, and maybe a little bit too hot in summer. And yeah, like it's just like so many people. Go ahead.
No, just also innovation. Like everything there is future. You know, it's like whatever you thought was science fiction in the movies 10 years ago, it's like, no, it's real, and it's in Dubai right now.
And I'm such a nerd when it comes to technology and like futurism. Like I love it. I love sci-fi are my favorite movies. I'm always looking at like the future of aviation. I'm kind of hoping that they develop the supersonic jet again, like they unleash the Concorde, because then I can be home in 3 hours, man. I'm home like from Dubai in 2.5, 3 hours.
I'm so glad you brought that up. So big news, another reason why you need to come to North Carolina. So Boom, you ever heard of them? Boom Supersonic?
Yeah. Yeah.
Bro, they're based right here in Greensboro, North Carolina. It's about an hour drive for me, and in the plane it's like a quick 15 minutes. And dude, they have their giant facility here that they're building, and they want to build the entire aircraft in-house. They don't want to outsource any of it, which is a huge undertaking, and they're building their own engines and all that stuff. So, you know, once that fitness business is kind of running itself and you get bored and you want to get back into turning spinners, come on over to North Carolina, bro. I'm sure Boom will be happy to have you.
And are they building a commercial supersonic jet like
yeah,
to match the Concorde? Okay,
Oh,
good,
well,
good,
it's not
good.
it's not the same size. I just listened to a podcast of their CEO the other day. Brilliant guy. And one of the issues that we've always had in the United States is you're not allowed to go supersonic over land because of the boom. But, they changed the shape of the airwave. And so now it's no longer a boom, it's more like a thump. But our government was like saying, no, 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 you can't even test it. Well, under the current presidential administration, they allowed for the testing, and they have like
Yeah,
microphones and things on the ground, and it was a success. And so right now
yeah,
they have a plane that's like 1/8 the size just for the testing. But now that all the physics and the math works, now they're like, okay, we're going to start building the bigger ones. And a bunch of our major airlines, like United and American, they've already committed to it. Japan was like American and United, they put down like a deposit. But Japan was the first one that put in like an order for like 10 airplanes, and they're like, here's our money. So it's starting to move, man. It's a very
yeah.
exciting time. Um,
So,
yeah, and the CEO, he was a brilliant guy because he was like, well, first we'll just stick to oceanic routes where we don't have to worry about the sound. And then once we figure out how to fix the sound wave, then we can fly over the earth. And they're like, shit, fixing the sound wave was an easy problem. We didn't think we'd fix it this quickly. But now it's like a free game, and I'm excited that they're going to be building that stuff right here in house. He was cool because he was like, dude, it's so much inefficiency. And this is definitely the case, I feel like, with Airbus. You have to
yeah.
have all the countries get a little piece of the money. So like France is going to build the wings, and the UK is going to build the engine, and this and that. And he just noticed how there's so many time delays if you do it that way. And so, that's why he's like, we're going to do it all under us. That way, like it's just like a car production line, like boom, 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 you knock it out. And it's exciting, man.
America is set up for that, man. Like you're big country. You got the minerals, you got the materials, you got the workforce. Like,
Yeah. And
and now,
a lot of these
yeah,
big tech billionaire guys like this one, he's all about bringing manufacturing back to the United States because that really we showed our ass during COVID. It's like we outsourced everything, and for a long time it helped our economy grow. But now you have one hiccup in the chain, and dude, everything falls apart. So he's about bringing back manufacturing stuff. Awesome stuff, man. So you got to come
you
to North
think.
Carolina.
Well, no, I'll be there, man. I mean, look, I'm going to MRO Atlanta next year anyway in April, so I'm going to be in Atlanta, which isn't a million miles away, and I actually have a few clients around there, so I'll be going. I'm on tour next year a little bit now that I have the Dubai migration done, and I'm nomadic again.
Wicked, wicked, dude. Yeah, man. Let me know when you're in the States. Atlanta is a quick, easy flight for me, man. Like 2 hours tops.
And just okay, cool. And do you think Elon Musk will get in on the supersonic side of things, or do you think he'll stick to rockets? Because if he gets going, man, he'll level it up. Maybe do you reckon? Or
Right?
good
Yeah.
competition.
He's interesting. I've heard him on podcasts talk about aviation, and he definitely knows his stuff. Like he understands the physics of it, and like he was just like, like a computer and a robot just spitting out facts. And this guy, the CEO of Boom, he's said that they've had conversations, but to what extent, I don't know. If we could have it Elon's way, he just wants to do the rockets, man. He'll be like, okay, uh, New York to Dubai in 45 minutes because we're just going to launch a rocket. You go up in the atmosphere, and then you come back down and you launch on this rocket pad. And I'm like, you know what? That could be pretty cool too. So, maybe they need rocket pilots. I don't know.
Man, I think it's all it doesn't it feel like we're kind of in the future now, I mean, and to answer your question about Dubai, yeah, it's so progressive and so like the way they think is just they think like a business owner, they think like, is this efficient? Is this the best? How can we make this better? Aviation principles like Kaizen is a big aviation principle of like 1% better each week, Also a good analogy for fitness, by the way, on your journey. But like just getting 1% better each week. And like you see it here in Dubai, man. They're thinking ahead and they're removing the red tape and stuff like that. They're making things easy, and that was part of the reason why I wanted to leave Spain was they make it hard to do things. Like there's so much bureaucracy and stuff like that, and then you got the crazy taxes. As much as I love Spain and as hard as the decision to make to leave was, it was just hard to get ahead. But here, man, they're open for business. They want you here. Like I know a guy and this could be interesting for you at some stage and maybe incentivizing to keep going with the podcast is they're trying to attract influencers in all sorts of industries. So I know an aviation guy here would be a great guy for you to have on the podcast as well. His name is Mohammed Motivate. He helps get young people into aviation. And ping me a message afterwards. I'll send you his Instagram. So I met him here in Dubai, and he's got an Instagram page like 340,000 people, and what he does is he helps educate young people on the different jobs in aviation, and he kind of like shows them what it's like. Like he goes to the airport, air traffic control, or crew, or ramps and stuff like that, or pilots. And
I think I've seen this guy.
Yeah, lovely guy, really nice guy, and just smart as a whip, right? And so like I met him in Dubai, and I was like, "What are you doing here anyway, man?" Like you're like, and he was like, "Oh, well, they invited me over to give me like a golden visa," and I'm like, "What? Like just give you a 10-year visa to live in Dubai?" And they're like, "Yeah, because they want influencers here and aviation influencers and stuff." And I was like, "Well, shit, I wish I knew that 6 months ago because I just paid like $10,000 to bloody move the business over here, like But like that's just." I'm just trying to like give you an example of how, because I know you seem like you're interested in it, but like how they think over here. Like they want to attract people because they know those people will say good things about Dubai and like bring more people and just build it up. Like they're just like, let's just fucking do it.
You're doing it right now, man. You're doing it right now. So they were right.
Yeah. It's just I'm not getting paid for it though. I missed that. But he would be a great guest to have in your podcast, mate, because he's like really there's a lot, like there is a big pain point. Like, do you know that there's like a massive shortage of aviation people now, like workers, and it's going to get worse and worse. Like, and he's doing an amazing job, as well as like some of my other, like I've got another client, Fiona. She runs a company called Avcon. She'd be a great person to have, and she's in the same type of business. Like it's like educating and incentivizing young people to get into aviation, because there's gonna be a problem like in it soon. There's gonna be nobody to fix the airplanes or to fly the airplanes, and like the people like these are doing a great job of like making it exciting again, because it used to be an exciting industry, and then it kind of wailed off a little bit with tech. I think tech kind of took over and like remote working and stuff like that. But I think there's kind of like people are kind of craving working with their hands again a little bit and stuff like that. So that'd be an interesting episode, maybe. Little recommendation there, but yeah.
Dude, yes, I would love it. Everybody in your network I would love to talk to, man, and get their story out there on the airwaves and whatnot. But Darren, we're gonna kind of wrap things up here, man. So thank you so much for coming on. Obviously, you'll be back on the pod many times, dude.
It's been an absolute pleasure being on the podcast. I love chatting. It's like being back in the hangar, man. This is why I love aviation people,
Clear to land, wind 280 at 7 knots.